G'day, what we're going to be talking about today is this. These are modular trumpet mouthpieces. They come in a kit with one trumpet mouthpiece body, 2 rims and 4 different cup sizes. Now the idea with these is that you can interchange them and produce a trumpet mouthpiece that fits you without having to try out each separate mouthpiece by themselves. Now if I just bring them here for a close-up, we can see a bit better what this package contains. This rim here, you can see that is a 2, size 2, and this rim here is size 3. Now I've measured these up previously with a set of calipers, but if I do that again, the outside of these mouthpieces, the outside of these rims are both roughly 27 millimeters. Now they're both the same, so I won't bother measuring each one individually. But if we look at the inside of these, the inside measurement here, this one is roughly 16.5 millimeters, and this one here is just a little bit bigger, but they're very similar in size. These cups here, they are of 4 different sizes, and this one has stamped on it 2B. This one has stamped on it very faintly 2C. This one is a 3B. And this one is stamped upside down as a 3C. And it's perhaps that sort of lack of attention that gives a clue to the fact that these are Chinese made. The body of this mouthpiece looks like this. The cavity or receptacle in which the caps go is quite pronounced, is quite fairly obvious, and you can see the screw threading on the outside around the rim. If we were to build up one of these mouthpieces, what we will do is place a cap and insert it in the top there. It's quite loose. If you tip it upside down, it'll fall out. But it just sits on top there, and then you choose a rim and slide it on. The end result is quite tight. There's no wiggle, no movement in here. And if we have a look inside here, which I don't know if the camera is going to focus on, you can see that there is a little line where the rim and the middle piece connect, but it's nothing noticeable. And what you get, and the result of all this is a gold and silver toned trumpet mouthpiece. So what I'm going to do now is try a couple of them on my trumpet and see how they work. Now the first thing I notice when inserting this trumpet mouthpiece is that there is a tiny amount of wiggle room in here. Now I don't know whether that is an issue with the manufacturing of the trumpet, because this is a Chinese made trumpet, or whether it's an issue with the manufacturing of this mouthpiece. But so that potential air leak doesn't result in me being accused of a bad review, I'm going to use some of this plumber's tape here. It's very thin plumber's tape, and I'm just going to wind it around this mouthpiece so that we can ensure a decent snug fit. There we go, that should be sufficient. If we insert this in, yay, no more wiggle. So there's a top tip. If you have a mouthpiece that wiggles around in your instrument, get some of this plumber's tape. It is, I think, 0.1 millimeters thick, and it's a good way to insulate any loose fitting mouthpieces. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate just a little piece out of the Carnival of Venice, just to give you some idea about how this sounds. So the first thing I notice is that there is it's quite a breathy sound. That generally means some sort of air leak. So What that would suggest to me is that these aren't tight, but I can't tighten them up any further. I certainly can't move the inner part around, so that would suggest that it's as tight as it is ever going to be. It sounds like in different volumes. It is a lot breathier than what I would like, and it's a little bit disappointing. So that's the 2. That is the number 2 rim with the number 2B cup. What I'm going to do is switch that around a bit. So put this back, and I will try the number 3 rim with the number 3B cup. Now the threading on this is actually reasonably good. I've experienced other threads, especially off Chinese made instruments, which are very hard to get them looped onto that the first thread. That isn't an issue with this one. It's quite solid. You definitely know when it's tight, but then again it's not too difficult to loosen either. So that's actually reasonably solid. Put the mouthpiece into the trumpet. Let's flip to a different page and let's see what we get. I can still see a bit of air. It's not a great experience. But let's play some different volumes and see what it sounds throughout the auditory spectrum. So it's not bad. Personally, I can't tell too much of a difference between a 2B and a 3B. That's probably because I am an amateur trumpet player. I'm sure that people that play these things for hours and hours on end are going to immediately be able to tell the difference between the two, and are also going to be able to tell that there is a massive difference between these fake Chinese modular mouthpieces and the genuine Bach articles or whatever other equivalent mouthpiece you're playing. What I'm going to do now is put the 3C configuration of this mouthpiece in. Which is this cap where the 3C is actually printed upside down, and it is again using the number 3 rim. I doubt I'll be able to tell the difference between the two. I'll stop right there because I can immediately tell this is a very breathy sounding mouthpiece, which indicates an ear leak, or that there is not the right amount of consistency throughout the structure of this mouthpiece. It is as tight as I can make it. I'll just jam it into the mouthpiece a bit more just to ensure that there's no issues. Jam it into the mouthpiece receptacle, rather, the lead pipe, to make sure there is no air gaps there. And let me just try again. So there seems to be some air gap on this mouthpiece. Not a particularly desirable trait, but if you're wanting to know how these mouthpieces feel against your chops, then that's perhaps a use for these mouthpieces. But if you're wanting to demonstrate what they're like to play with and to live with, then perhaps not a good example. What I'll do now is use the same size of mouthpiece but in a genuine example, this is a Vincent Bach 3C, which is purportedly the same size cup and so forth as that mouthpiece, although this is a silver arrangement instead of the gold plating, and it is part of the Megatone series, so it has more substance to its structure. Much better. The difference in mouthpiece is quite profound. Largely, and I'm sorry if this doesn't come through on the camera, but with this Chinese-made fake modular mouthpiece arrangement, it is a very breathy sound. It sounds like there are air leaks somewhere in the instrument. Yet with this, all the sound that I'm putting into the mouthpiece seems to be getting translated to sound at the other end being projected from it. That is what you want with a mouthpiece. I've never heard somebody say to me, what I really want is a mouthpiece that lacks definition, sounds very breathy. I've never heard a person say that. What I'm going to do now to try and remedy one of the issues is to line this with some of that plumber's tape, hopefully to improve the integrity of the seal around the rim here. So what I've got is some of this plumber's tape again, and what I will do is just wrap some around the top part of this mouthpiece here. That should be sufficient. I do fear now that I've put it around the wrong way, so I hope it doesn't unravel when I put the rim back on. Oh no, it is around the right way. Right, there we go. And now here's a layer of this plumber's insulation tape around the rim. Let's see if that makes a difference. Make sure we've got the right mouthpiece in. I'll go back to Carnival of Venice because I had rather ambitiously turned to Moto Perpetuo. That is about 50% different. That is actually quite shocking. I would say this is now a tolerable mouthpiece. Yeah, that seems to have made a difference. Now, just to prove that it was the addition of that plumber's tape that has helped, I'm going to remove it. Oh, I am losing bits here. So let's remove it off what's going to attach to the inner cup. Let's remove it from here. Dum-diddly-do. Make sure there's no residue left. Yep. And let's put it back together. So again, this is the 3C inner cup with the 3C rim, the number 3 rim. Make sure it's tight, and let's do the same thing. Yeah, it is definitely this is definitely a mouthpiece that is helped by adding plumber's insulation tape, this white, really thin tape, around the threads of this mouthpiece.